What is going on, everyone? Leon checking in, and we're at it again with another episode. And as you can see, we are on Chromebook.com, and today we're going to be talking about gaming Chromebooks, which I'm extremely excited about. Now, I will mention I'm actually doing the screen recording on a gaming PC, the HP OMEN 16. This is a really nice device, but obviously it's not a Chromebook. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a moment, why you may want to get a gaming Chromebook. But we're going to scroll down the page here until we get to the gaming Chromebook. And you can see that we're going to have this option to explore gaming Chromebooks. We're going to click on that, and that's going to refresh the page. We're going to get some gameplay at the top here, but we are going to scroll down, and you can see that we have some options here. And most importantly, one of the first things you're going to see is RGB, which that's one of the highlights of a gaming peripheral or gaming hardware overall. We want that RGB. Now, the question is, why would you want a gaming Chromebook? Why not just get a gaming PC? And the whole idea behind gaming Chromebooks is going to be streaming. And I could tell you, even having a gaming PC, there would be times where you'd want to stream on this device too. Because if you have any experience downloading games to a gaming PC and you try to game on battery, which you definitely don't want to do, but if you've tried it, you know that these devices will consume a lot of power. You're looking at your battery performance being 1 to 2 hours if you are playing a game that's downloaded directly to your hardware. But if you are going to be gaming in the cloud or streaming, you can get hours of gameplay even on a very performance intensive device like a gaming PC. So scrolling down, you can see that we're emphasizing powerful PC gaming. The question is, how is this done? And it's going to be a lot like Netflix, but for gaming. And speaking of Netflix, they're also thinking of creating their own gaming service as well, which wouldn't be all that surprising. It's something that I've questioned because they're really good at shows and movies. And if they could do game streaming, that would make their service extremely competitive. But moving on, again, it's like the Netflix of gaming. So we're going to have providers. So, for example, we have Microsoft. They are going to have their xCloud or Game Pass Ultimate that allows you to stream. And then we have NVIDIA's GeForce Now. And then we also have services like Amazon's Luna. Now, as you probably noticed, we didn't mention Stadia because Stadia is dead in the water. It's going to be discontinued early next year. But the idea behind these service providers is that they have the the specific hardware, which would be a lot like a gaming PC. They have it on their end, and the games are rendered there on their computers, and then it's streamed over your internet connection to your device like a gaming Chromebook. So moving down here, we want to emphasize the key points of a gaming Chromebook. So first we have cloud gaming upgraded. This is just letting you know that your gaming Chromebook is probably going to have an Intel Core processor, about a 120 hertz high resolution display. Again, that RGB gaming keyboard, that's the main highlight there. And then high-end graphics powered by NVIDIA GeForce Now. Now, I'm thinking when they say powered by NVIDIA GeForce Now, that is if you're using NVIDIA's GeForce Now gaming service. And then moving on, 1,000 games to play. I think this is also a highlight of game streaming. So you don't have to have a console, you don't have to have a dedicated PC. You can stream from these different services and have access to all these games. Again, it's going to be the equivalent of movie or TV streaming where you have all these different services. You can pick the one that you like the most, or you can pick multiples and have access to all this content. And then we have our last point of why you may want to get a Chromebook. They're designed to last. Now, if you've been following the channel, you know that I have several Chromebooks. I have the Lenovo Chromebook Duet 5, wonderful device. I have the Google Pixelbook Go, which I'm unfortunately retiring because I'm having issues. We've got the creaky hinge. We've got a USB-C port that doesn't work. And then I have the OG Google Pixelbook. I'm still using that device. It's beautiful. It works really well. And these devices, for a certain amount of years will get updates. But even after they lose the updates, they're still very reliable. They still work really well. So scrolling down here, again, we have some emphasized providers. These are arguably the most popular ones, but there are other ones that are, I would say, close to being as popular or on the rise. And then underneath this, we have some of the games you could play. Now, I could say that I have streamed some of these games. Destiny 2 I've streamed, Cyberpunk I've streamed. So, what the question is, why would you stream versus getting, say, a console or or a dedicated PC like the HP Omen 16 I have now? It's going to be a lot quicker. You don't have game updates. You can just play instantly, pretty much. And that's the highlight there. But the con is you got to have really good internet, and you have to be in some situations right next to your router, close to your router, or use a wired connection. But the other reason I am looking myself into getting one of these gaming Chromebooks, of course, we have the nice refresh display. A lot of these devices, the display looks really nice itself. We've got that RGB, but the thing I've noticed about the HP Omen 16 and gaming PCs overall is they are thicker devices. They're heavier, they're not as easy to carry. And a device, a streaming device like a gaming Chromebook, they're going to be a lot lighter because they don't have to have all this hardware because we're streaming all our games. And again, I wanted to emphasize that point that I'm a PC gamer, but I also stream games because there is a certain time where you may want to do one or the other. If I'm looking for the best gaming experience, PC gaming, downloaded games, that's the way to go. Game streaming is never going to touch that, especially when you're talking about latency. And I don't want to say never because technology progresses at such a ridiculous rate that I would love to see in the future that game streaming is just as good as PC gaming, downloaded games, that kind of thing. I think it would be better for the environment. It would make hardware cheaper. It would make gaming more accessible to everyone. So if you are watching this video, whether you PC game or you stream games, I hope that we can all be on the same page because there is no hate here. Hate is not allowed here. We are in this together. We're just here to game, and each side has its pros and cons. But anyways, moving on here, I want to actually look at the hardware a little bit more. So again, we're going to have that RGB gaming keyboard. They're really pushing this. And again, makes sense. It's the highlight. When you are looking at a gaming device, you want that RGB gaming keyboard. Now, there are three gaming Chromebooks here, and only two of them are going to have an RGB keyboard, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a moment. 120 hertz high resolution. I'm not sure if this is going to cover all the Chromebooks. You can see that we have a sample here. In my opinion, this doesn't bother me too much. I can't really tell, but some people really can. Scrolling down here, again, this is emphasizing the idea of why you may want to stream. You can tap, search, and launch games in seconds. There is no downloading games. There's no downloading updates for games. It's just going to be streamed directly to your device. Now, this may be a little bit misleading because, again, it depends on your internet connection. If you have a solid internet connection, you can get games in seconds. But if your internet connection is a little bit slower, it might take longer than 3 4 5 seconds. You might be looking at 10 to 15 seconds, or you may be looking at a very poor gaming experience, again, if your internet connection is not optimal. So scrolling down here a little bit more, best in class graphics. Again, if you're reading these descriptions, they're using NVIDIA GeForce Now as an example. And I kind of looked at NVIDIA GeForce Now, and it seems like they may have the best game streaming service. And this is why Google and gaming Chromebooks will be pushing the service because you're looking at the best possible examples. So, for example, we have an image here, RTX off and RTX on, ray tracing. If you look in the water here a little bit, you can see with RTX on, you can see the reflection of the gaming machines in the water. If you look on the left side though, the reflection is kind of diluted. It's a little bit more grainy. It's not the best. But personally, I don't think RTX off is going to be horrible unless you're very detail oriented. And then scrolling down here, stream Xbox games on your Chromebook. I think you get the point right now that Gaming Chromebooks and Google is really emphasizing that GeForce now and Xbox is the way to go. Again, we have Amazon Luna and we have other services, but those are highlights there. And I don't know, I'm imagining that they're paying to be promoted as well, something to think about. And then finally, we're getting to the gaming Chromebooks. And these all have their pros and cons. So we have an Acer Chromebook 516GE. We have an Asus Chromebook Vibe CX55 Flip. And then we have Lenovo IdeaPad Gaming Chromebook 16. And these all come in at different price points. So off the bat, again, not all of these are going to have RGB. The middle one here, the Asus Chromebook Vibe CX55 Flip, doesn't have the RGB, but it's essentially a foldable. It's a two-in-one device, so it's a lot like the Google Pixel Book. Okay, you can use it as a regular laptop, but then it folds over on itself. You can use it as a tablet. That's going to be the highlight of the Asus Chromebook Vibe CX55 Flip. These two outside devices, they're not going to be able to do that. They're pretty much standard laptops, so they're comparable to the Google Pixel Book Go. But anyways, let's talk about the RGB light in here. I wanted to keep these devices side by side so that we can compare. And what I'm noticing, and I don't know if this is just images, but the Acer Chromebook 516GE seems to have brighter RGB lighting. Now, I originally thought that the IdeaPad Gaming Chromebook 16 might be the one that people would go for. It's going to be the cheapest out of the bunch here. I believe it's coming in at $399. But with that RGB looking faint in the picture, I'm thinking honestly the Acer Chromebook 516GE would be the one people might push for. It's going to cost more. I believe this one is going to come out, it looks like at $649.99. And again, let's just verify IdeaPad Gaming Chromebook $399. So noticeable price difference here. But we're going to get that 8 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabytes of storage for the Acer Chromebook 516GE. Displays are going to look pretty similar here in size. You can see we're going to get about half the storage here for the IdeaPad Gaming Chromebook 16-inch. Again, 8 gigabytes of RAM. I think storage is still going to be important here. And the reason being is, of course, these devices are going to be used for streaming games. But the whole other idea of getting a gaming Chromebook is the Google Play Store. Don't overlook this. So you want a gaming device, but you don't want to pay gaming PC money. We have the Google Play Store. So you get a gaming Chromebook, you have your RGB at a competitive price, you have your nice display, refresh rate, and now you're downloading games from the Google Play Store. You pair that with say an Xbox controller, that's what I would use. And you have a nice setup. You have a nice setup. And I'm hoping that these devices will further push uh, the improvement of Google Play Store games. I'm hoping that we get better titles because that would give gaming Chromebooks and game and streaming devices not only streaming services, but the potential to actually download something when you don't have an internet connection or your internet connection is not all that great. So talking about these two outside devices, again, Acer Chromebook 516GE. One of the things I don't like here is the keyboard looks a little more squished together. Let's see if we can find some more images here. So this one's a little bit bigger. Lets you know that this Chromebook is premium. And then we have, looks like some peripherals you can get for this Chromebook. So not a lot of images here. But again, this keyboard looks a little squished together. I don't know how I feel about that. It's love hate, but it looks like we have speakers on the outside of that keyboard for a surround experience. So that may not be a huge problem. You can see that if we click on the Lenovo unit we have here, the keyboard is bigger. You can see that we have a number pad here. I don't think we had a number pad on the Acer Chromebook 516 GE. No number pad here. So we're going to miss out on that. But again, this RGB lighting, it looks a little more faint. Don't really like that. I like bright RGB lighting. Maybe in this picture, maybe they reduced the brightness. Maybe it actually is less bright. Not sure how I feel about that. If I find out it's brighter, I would go with this probably. I do like that the Acer unit has more internal storage again for downloading games and content from the Google Play Store. So that's pretty much the gist between these two RGB gaming Chromebooks. Now again, we have the Asus Chromebook Vibe CX55 Flip. There's no RGB here, but we've got a nice display here. You can see that we have two options. So we have an 8 GB RAM, 256 GB storage option. This is a starting price $699. So this device is going to cost more, and we're not going to get that RGB lighting, which is a disappointment. I feel like Google, Asus, they could have really paired to make this the ultimate device, and the way this could have been the ultimate cloud gaming device was to have this form factor where it's two in one. You can use this as a conventional laptop, or you could flip over and use this as a tablet. But you have to have that RGB lighting. If you're going to call anything a gaming device that is really pushing like the best gaming streaming experience, you have to have RGB lighting regardless of the form factor. And then we have the second option, which is going to come in at 729. This doubles your RAM, but you get the same amount of storage. Now, I wouldn't necessarily opt for this unless you're going to be doing something dedicated on the device itself that is fairly intensive, such as video editing. I do have some experience using PowerDirector on a Chromebook. It works fairly well, but it's going to be a limited experience compared to a Windows PC where you have better hardware and better performance. But anyways, let's take a better look at this form factor. You can see in that image, it's in your standard laptop format. I'm hoping that they're going to show this folded over. And of course, they're not going to on this page. That's a disappointment. But you can see we have the option where to buy. This is going to be available on Amazon or Asus. Let's see, maybe I could click on this just to demonstrate. And here you have a better idea. So you can see this is going to flip all the way over. This is just another image here. Now, what I do like about the Asus, even though it doesn't have RGB, you can see that we have these orange highlighted keys. That gives you a little bit of a gamer feel. Again, not as good as RGB, but at least it's something. You can see that we have this form factor where we could flip over here. We can put this device in different display modes. That's what I like about these Chromebooks. If you have a Chromebook where it flips over on itself, this is definitely gamer-esque. You can set this up in a tent mode or a kiosk mode, and then pair with a keyboard, a mouse, or a controller. So this could arguably be the best gaming Chromebook if only they added that RGB light in. It looks really good. You can see we have a sample here of someone gaming with it in tent mode. It's very promising. But let's go back to the other Chromebooks here, look at their prices fairly quick. Again, the Acer Chromebook 516 GE, where to buy. Best Buy, I think that's great. You can go into a store, you can actually check this out, try it out. I do like the color of the device itself. Thinness looks really good here. Very promising. We're going to close out here. And then we're going to take a look at our last Chromebook here, the Lenovo IdeaPad Gaming Chromebook 16-inch, where to buy. So this one's going to be Walmart too. I feel like that might limit it. That might limit its selling potential. I feel like people are going to push more towards Amazon and Best Buy. So that may limit the selling of this device. You can see the RGB lighting looks a little bit better here. Again, not as bright. I do like how this device looks overall though. And then we have the lid. The lid looks really nice there. It's a two-tone color option. Again, you can see that this device isn't going to fold over like that Asus unit. So that's pretty much it. But to wrap this up, I am looking into buying one of these devices. Again, I do have a gaming PC, the HP OMEN 16. It works really well. I love it. I do love downloading games versus streaming in some instances. I can say if you have downloaded games, you're going to have a better experience. My internet is really good. I would say game streaming does work really good for me, but still, downloaded games, you're going to get better performance. But again, I am looking into buying one of these devices because there are times, even when I'm in my apartment, moving my even though this is a laptop, my HP Omen 16, moving it's kind of heavy. I get a little bit worried about dropping it. It would be nice to have a gaming Chromebook. They're lighter devices. I can just pick it up. The battery's going to last a lot longer, so I don't have to worry about being plugged in. And I could take it to another room or to a public place fairly easily, and I could do some cloud gaming there. But the other thing is, even if I'm not cloud gaming, these devices, they're just really cool looking. They have a futuristic touch to them. So even if we're just doing a Word document, it would be arguably cool to just have that RGB light in. Just something like when you turn a device on and you see that RGB going, it's just a nice experience. Now, what I am wondering is if this RGB lighting is going to be customizable. I have to pick up one of these devices eventually here to find out. I'm hoping that we have customization, not just a rainbow effect. Not everyone likes the rainbow effect. Some people want red, blue, maybe they want a breathe in, anything like that. But I am really looking forward to these devices. I'm very excited that we're finally getting them. And that's all I've got to say for this video. So that is it for this episode. If you enjoyed it and found it useful, please leave a like. If you're watching on YouTube and have any questions or comments, as always, drop those down below and I'll do my best to answer them. Now, there are 3 ways you can support the content. The first way is to click on the Amazon storefront link in the description below. There you'll find items that I have bought or would buy, and anything you buy from the storefront does support the content. The next way you can show your support is just by sharing this content with someone who might enjoy it or find it useful. And the last way you can show your support is just by clicking the subscribe button. Now, liking and subscribing are important because those are your ways to vote on whether you like the content. Liking and subscribing are also important for new viewers and listeners. If new viewers and listeners see likes and subscribers, they're going to think that the content is helpful, worth watching, and listening to. As always, thanks for watching and may the universe flow in your favor. And until next time, Leon checking out.